Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's day is going well and everyone's staying warm. We're coming to you from a very exceptionally chilly Austin, Texas. I mean, it is January, and I think we're both from out of state to areas that actually are used to winter weather, but that doesn't mean that you get used to it when you're down here in Austin. So we both got our sweatshirts on and trying to stay warm today. So today I am joined by Jen Shultz. Who has a business called the Non 9 to 5. And so I appreciate you taking the time to join me today, Jen.
Yeah, thanks, Troy. Super excited to be here.
Appreciate it. So, like I say, try not to do too much research on people because I like to like understand and learn kind of as I'm doing the interviews and stuff as well. But in doing that little bit of research, I believe that you had moved to Texas from the Northeast.
Yeah, I'm from New York City originally, and I moved to Austin a little bit over 6 years ago.
And how have you been enjoying it?
I love it here. I love it here. I do very much like the weather. This is way too cold for me. But I
And when you
really
think this
love
would be like a
Austin.
typical kind of day in probably New York, uh, in this, in January and stuff. I'm from the Midwest, and this would be like, oh, this is nice weather, actually.
Yeah, it would be typical weather, but for someone like me, I don't like the cold at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not my thing.
Well, oh, yes, I've pretty much always hated it. Um, so kind of what brought you down to Austin? Obviously, maybe give us a little bit about your origin story. You have this business now that you kind of got into. So maybe talk a little bit about that. But was moving to Austin a part of that right off the bat, or was that something that came later? Kind of what's maybe a couple minutes, a minute or two on your kind of your background and origin story.
Well, the part about moving here was completely intuitively led. I'm a very intuitive person. I go with my gut feelings. And actually, within the work I do with the clients I work with at the Non 9 to 5, I teach a lot about intuition. In fact, I teach what are called 6 steps to success, the Non 9 to 5 steps to success. And there are 6 steps. And one of those steps is called tap into intuition to stay the course. So if we want to stay the course of successful self-employment, intuition plays a massive, massive role. And for me, if we go back to 2015, I was visiting a good friend of mine here in Austin for about the second time. I think it was about the second time I'd been to Austin, maybe the third. I can't quite remember. And I was over at Town Lake, and I was at that area that's just east of 35, where there's that boardwalk, and I'm putting boardwalk in quotation marks because where I'm from, it's not a boardwalk, but
Sure.
that's okay. We will
Yeah.
call it a boardwalk.
Yeah.
And I went for a run, and it was one of those moments, or however long I was out there, where it was very much again intuitively led. The stars were aligned, and I got a really strong feeling that I was meant to move to Austin. And when I get those feelings and I know that I'm a resounding yes, even though, of course, something like that can feel really scary,
Mhm.
I also felt really excited about it. And I truly believe that when we feel both excitement and a little bit of nervousness or fear, that's like this middle ground sweet spot of which direction we're supposed to go in our lives. And so I followed that. And 2 months later, I was here. And I've been here ever since, again, a little bit over 6 years. And I had actually started the non 9 to 5 about 2 years before I made the move to Austin. I was
Okay.
pretty brand new in my business. And the business came from I quit my full time job. I was a teacher for a high performing, very rigorous charter school in the Bronx in New York City. And I was at a place in my life where I was struggling a lot. I was depressed. I was ridden with anxiety. I was dealing with insomnia. I was waking up at 5:45 in the morning, walking to the subway, taking 2 subways, getting to the neighborhood that the school was at, which was a very impoverished neighborhood. So there was definitely a very depressing energy to it. Getting to the school in the dark and not getting home till 7 o'clock at night, and trying to manage that just really, for me, I learned it's just not a fit for me. It's just not a
Mhm.
match in that model, if you will. And I ended up quitting. And when I quit, it was the end of 2010. I walked in on a Monday morning. I gave 2 weeks notice. And I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't know what I was going to do next. But what I did have, we'll just call it a little bit of clarity, because if anyone that's watching this has ever experienced depression or anxiety, nothing is clear. There's no clarity. It's hard to make any types of decisions and make any progress moving forward. But what I did have a little bit of clarity was that I did want to continue teaching, but I wanted to find a way that matched for me. And I didn't know if that existed, but I was willing to see if it did. I landed some independent contracting work as a tutor. And then I started my first business called Teacher on the Go. And that now has brought me to, again, well, I don't know if I said this yet, but it's been over 8 years that I've been the founder and leader of the Non-9 to 5, teaching other people how to do exactly what I did, how to quit their 9 to 5 jobs and create successful and sustainable self-employment.
Very nice. Yeah. I feel you mentioned going back to the run. I think we probably call it trails here versus, like, say, the boardwalks that you have there in New York, New Jersey. But you mentioned kind of that nervous energy that you had in making that decision, and I think, for a lot of people, it's maybe, public speaking is probably the most recognizable place for a lot of people when they get that fear. But one of the things that I've learned is that, right, like, this, it's really the same chemicals whether you're nervous about it or excited about it. And so, if you have that feeling, that means that there's something there, right? Something there that you should be looking into and stuff. And there's so many things in life that we like. There's so many things in life that it's rare that it's truly a right or wrong answer. And so by making a decision and moving forward with it is the only way you're going to truly find out if it was the right choice, and you're never going to know if it was the wrong choice, because who knows what the other choice would have really truly led to.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I actually wrote this somewhere. I don't remember where this was, but if we're not making a decision or we're not making a choice, we're just in limbo. And so you've got to take some type of action to move forward.
Yes, very much so. Kind of speaking of that too, do then is part of your uh, business and stuff teaching people to make decisions quickly? Because I feel like, um, for either self-employed people, for entrepreneurs, you know, generally the quicker you can make decisions, the better you're going to be. Because again, whether or not it's, instead of over analyzing, which is an issue that I definitely can have from time to time, over analyzing a decision, to hopefully make the right perfect decision by getting your decisions done quicker, you can really find out if they were right or not, and then adapt from there. And so,
Mm.
is that a part of the coaching that get you, is important for people looking to make that switch?
So I don't have a specific teaching around that, but you did touch on what can be referred to as analysis paralysis,
Mhm.
right? So we analyze, we overanalyze, we think and we think and we think, and then it's like we're paralyzed, right? So we're not actually like moving forward or doing anything. And I would agree that as part of a self employed person, like you're making decisions every day, things are coming at you. Um, I'm not necessarily teaching my clients to make these fast decisions, but
Sure.
I'm teaching them tools to support them in connecting deeper into their intuition so they can make decisions. And also really opening them up to possibilities. And what I mean is, and I'm thinking this is intuitively coming to my mind, one of my clients, I had shared with her about a specific networking organization that I felt would be really good for her to attend, to talk about the work that she was doing, to connect with other people. And she felt a little bit turned off by this networking group. It just didn't feel really aligned for her. And
Mhm.
so she was like, I don't want to do that. And so I just started to open up possibilities. And I said, well, what if you just went to one or two of them just to see? So that way we don't rule that out and say, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not making that choice to do that. I'm not making that decision, but just go just to see. That way we're not closing off possibilities. And I see that that part is what I see a lot of people doing. That will never work. That can't work. I won't do that. That won't be good for my business. But how do you know? How do you really know unless you actually just try it out and see?
Yeah. No, very, very accurate. Um, so you mentioned that your first business was kind of a teaching on the go thing, almost probably more like contract teaching type of work. How did you end up transitioning to your current company, the non 9 to 5?
Yeah, so I did that independent contracting work, and from there, I started my business that was called Teacher on the Go because I was
Okay.
on the go. I was going to kids' homes, I was going to schools, I was sort of like everywhere, working with kids one on one. And a little bit over a year, a real full year of doing that, I attended a workshop as a student, as a client, as a participant. And the workshop was all about how to monetize your passion. Like passion into profits is a term that I've heard before. And I thought, well, this is really me. But also at that time, my intuition was showing me that, and I knew this, I could feel it, that doing academics with kids was definitely not what I wanted to do for the long haul. But I didn't know where to go next because that's, I went from being an employee, starting my own business, like, well, I know how to do this, but I'm not passionate about it. So within this workshop, I remember sitting there with it was a group of women. We were in a circle, and the woman whose workshop it was, she was talking to us and teaching and coaching. And I had one of those other like light bulb, epiphany moments where the sky opens up, and I got this intuitive message that I was meant to coach people as well. And I've been quite familiar with the coaching industry, the personal growth industry. I've been doing rigorous personal growth and development for, I don't know, maybe almost 20 years now, a little bit less than 20 years. Um, and so it seemed to fall into place. I didn't know what the coaching was supposed to be about, but then I went and I became a certified coach. So I just followed that. I was like, all right, I'm gonna become a certified coach. And then it just sort of came to me that, well, hey, I was able to quit my full-time job. I did not end up in a cardboard box because once I walked out that door from that job, there was no more money coming in. I was living in New York City, paying, New York
Yeah.
City rent prices and all that comes with that. And I didn't get that independent contracting job like the day that I walked out. So there
Mm.
was a bit of time where there was no money coming in. And so the realization I had was, well, I was able to quit. I was able to stand on my own 2 feet without a full-time job. I was able to start my own business. So this really positions me to help other people. And not only does it position me, I'm passionate about this. I'm
Mhm.
passionate about like this experience. I'm passionate about people not being in a job just to get a paycheck, who know in their heart there's something more for them. Now, there's nothing wrong with working a full time job, but not everyone is coded or built for that.
Sure.
And the folks that I work with, mainly women, but some men as well, know in their heart of hearts that they're not meant to be an employee. They know in their heart of hearts that there's something that they're meant to do on their own to serve and support people and also generate a healthy income and have a sustainable business.
Nice. Uh, with everything that's happened over the last couple of years, how has that impacted your business? I could see where it maybe has actually, um, it's hard to say improve the business, but had a lot of people that, again, maybe lost jobs or had to kind of, take a hard look in the mirror and realize, this is what I want to do. And we've seen a lot of people transition to different types of either part-time side gigs or full-time self-employment and
Hmm.
that route. And so I'm assuming that's probably had a pretty big effect on you and your business as well.
Yeah, when the pandemic hit, it's almost 2 years now, which feels absurd to even
Yeah.
say that. It's like, what? When the pandemic hit, I I personally became very introspective. I really went inward, and I was looking at my work. I was asking myself some deeper inner questions. And I realized too that other people were naturally becoming introspective for a number of reasons. One is that we were hearing all these stories about people passing away, people getting sick, people passing away, people losing their jobs, people being furloughed from their jobs. And it really got me to realize that if now, and still now, even though it's 2 years later, because we're still in a pandemic, if, let me say it this way, now more than ever, if anyone has had any desire to become self employed, to pursue the thing they're passionate about, to pursue writing, to pursue music, to pursue whatever it is, now's the time, because our world is forever changed. It's not going back to normal. We're not going back to how we were before 2 years ago. It's not going to happen. So the way I look at this is that we all have one life. That's it. I don't know what happens after we die. We might be reincarnated, who knows? But I've got one. How do I want to live this one life? Do I want to live this one life at a job that I never really liked to begin with? Do I want to live this life at a job that I kind of like? I've got a really great paycheck, and it's a personal decision for everyone.
Mhm.
But if we're all going to die at some point because it's inevitable, why not take this time to really move forward with the things that we're most passionate about? And so
Yeah.
I was really speaking to that. I really spoke to that during that time, and I'm still speaking to that now. Yeah, go ahead.
No, say to be intentional, right? Again, not that working at a Fortune 500 company isn't right for plenty of people, but
Sure.
to just be intentional with why you're doing what you're doing, and does it, is it something you need to do for a while because you need to make that paycheck to get the kids through school, or is it something that you enjoy doing because of the structure that's there versus the unknown stuff when it comes to being self-employed that way. And so, having in understanding the intention of why you're doing what you're doing is, I think, critical to that fulfillment and being successful in what you're doing as well.
Well, that's a really key word, intention, being intentional. Such a key word, because again, just going back to my deeper thought of we have one life. Are we going to live an intentional life, or is it just going to be like, I don't know, whatever happens in life, or yeah, I guess I'll stay at this job. Yeah, I guess I'll get this paycheck, but that's not living life on purpose. It's not being intentional. And for some people, if that brings them joy, then yeah, beautiful, amazing. But it doesn't for many people. I know I'll say that, and I feel very strongly about that.
Well, and like I say, the pandemic, you know, anytime you have big moments like that, so whether it's like 9/11, the pandemic, different things, it definitely tends to lead to more introspective and those kind of things. But also, we're fortunate to live in a time when there are so many more opportunities to do your own kind of work, right? To be
Yes.
a business coach, to do stuff at home on a computer and have that be a full-time job, or a full-time career as a business owner, sell stuff on Amazon, whatever it may be. Whereas, even growing up, for me, those types of jobs, there's so many jobs that are available now as a career that weren't available 20 years ago,
Mhm.
pre-internet. And so that's, something that I think can still be hard to wrap your head around, that it's not the same 9 to 5, go to college, get a job, and kind of work somewhere for 40 years. Like, I don't think anybody really thinks that as much anymore, but like that you can break free from that corporate structure altogether if that's what you're meant to do.
Right. Absolutely agreed.
So for you and your business, like, what do you tend to work more with people that are still working at a company and then trying to break away, or do you just tend to work with more people who've already kind of already made that transition, but are just trying to again, get better at running their own
Mhm.
business, being self-employed, or kind of a mix of the two?
It's a mix of both, to be honest with you. When I like just kind of do a vision in my head of my current clients, some of the folks I'm working with are still in that full time job, and we've got their business started on the side, so they're doing both. One of my clients who's coming to my mind, she left her. She happened to be a teacher too. She left her full time teaching job at the end of this summer to pursue her business full time. And then actually, talking about being open to possibilities, she was offered a part-time job, which she also was really excited about. So she took that as well. So she has her business full time and she's got this part-time job, really enjoying both, which I think is so cool
Yeah.
because, we think, well, it should be this or it should be this or it should be this. Well, it shouldn't have to be anything. It's whatever gets you excited, whatever you feel really connected with. And I have women who have come to me who had already quit their jobs, not in any 9 to 5, and already started their business. And they're focused on it. They want it to be successful and sustainable. So I have the honor of equipping them with tools and teachings and support and guidance to be able to bring those pieces together.
Nice. The Going back to the lady you said that's doing the part-time gig, it's one of the things I think about as well too, is that, too often as, someone running your own business or being self-employed, it's not, you can't punch the clock to really be off. Like your mind, if anything else, is always kind of on or can turn on at a moment's notice. And so having something else to kind of let your mind and energy recharge, whether that be a hobby specifically or a second job or something like that, can actually, I think, in a lot of cases, make you more productive in the full-time job or the
For
career that you're
sure.
trying to pursue that way, because it lets you take that break and again see things from a different angle sometimes too, depending on again what that job is. And so I think that's um, always a super beneficial thing that a lot of people don't necessarily think of would be beneficial.
I totally agree, and I've experienced it myself, and my clients are as well. I think back to when I first started this business, I had two, let's call them part-time jobs. I was still teaching kids one-on-one. I was doing less of it, and at that time, actually, I was homeschooling an autistic child pretty much 4 to 5 days a week for like 3 hours straight a day, just her and I together. And then I landed a job with a nonprofit, and I am so grateful for that work I did with that nonprofit. I had the privilege and the honor of working with formerly incarcerated men and women who were actually being taught how to become entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Um, and then probably by a year later, those two jobs didn't exist. And my business mentor invited me to work for her. So I was both a client and I was working for her as an independent contractor. And I did that for several years. And it was the most amazing experience. I learned so much and I was having so much fun. I was like, this is so cool. I'm building my business and I'm helping her build hers and I'm learning from her too. And then lastly, because I just really think this is worth noting too, another job that I had over these past number of years was I worked for um, what is it? A consumer product goods company.
Mhm.
And what I did was completely tactile. I was doing all of the product orders, putting the products in boxes, handwriting little notes to the customers, taping the boxes, bringing them to be mailed. I loved it because it was so different. I got to use my hands. I made extra money and I had fun doing it.
Very nice. Um, so with being now, you've been in Austin for 6 years now. What's other than the normally nicer weather? What's kind of been some of your favorite things about Austin?
Well, I mean, we kind of touched on it before, but I do love the trail here. When I say the trail, I think about the Town Lake Trail. I spend a lot of time there. I have a dog. I've had a dog now for almost 2 years. So I didn't have a dog for the first 4 years of living here. Um, had my dog for 2 years, take her to the trail, go to Zilker. I love letting her off leash. That's probably one of my favorite things to do. And honestly, I wouldn't say I'm like the most exciting person. I just love going for walks.
Sure.
Where I live, in the part of Austin I live, or the complex that I live in, we have these. I'm looking at them now. We have these beautiful trees here, and we have all these dog parks. And just to walk around is fun for me. I love it.
Nice. She probably enjoys being off leash too, and it's definitely something where I do not have a dog, but you know, like say, in having a dog, it definitely forces you to probably get out a few more times a week than you would have normally. You be like, oh, I should go for a walk, and then you kind of don't because you work
Yeah,
in your business. Where now it's like, well, no,
right.
we need to go for a walk because she needs to go for a walk.
Right. Yeah. I'm really grateful for her because, and you're absolutely right, because I've had her over these past 2 years, I am out of the house even more so. And I'm a creature of habit. Like if I'm feeling
Mhm.
cozy and comfortable at home, I can just stay here. And it's great. But but then intuitively I know I need to be outside
Yeah,
more. And because of her, just such a gift. Such a
yeah.
gift.
Very nice. So for people that may have more interest in you and kind of the services you provide in your company, what's the best way for them to kind of learn more about that and kind of reach out to you?
Yeah. So one way is if you go to the website, so it's the non9to5.com, all spelled out in letters right there. If you go to the website, you want to plug in your first name and your best email, and you will receive what's called the number one step to staying with your business mission. It's a mini, did I say mini? PDF ebook that I've written. You'll receive that, and that's a way for us to stay in touch. And then I'm also on Instagram, the non 9 to 5, also on Facebook, the non 9 to 5. And those are great places as well.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on the call or jump here on the chat and stuff today. It was
Yeah.
great getting to hear your story and some of the stuff you're doing to help other Austinites as well too, which is something that's great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it, everyone. Have a great day and stay warm out there.